I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Brian Wilson.
Well, joining us now on the line to talk about the events of the day, Lanny Davis. Lanny, of course, is former Clinton White House special counsel, or no, not special counsel, just counsel. And Lanny, I want to ask you the burning issue of the day. Do you consider insects to be animals?
Oh my gosh!
Because we're having a debate over that, and I want your official opinion.
I don't think so, but I don't like to step on insects. I always give them a break.
All right, good. So there we are. Another person in my category, Larry.
Lanny Davis, anti-science.
All right, so Lanny, let's get to the real issue of the day, which is that the government shutdown is over, and now that it's over, and people are going back to work, and somebody's going to be there to tend to Michelle Obama's tomatoes, and the Panda Cam is going to be back open, and government workers are going to be going back to work, having not lost one penny. What do we draw from all this?
Oh boy. Everybody should be thrown out of office. Every incumbent who's running, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, everyone is just looking at this and shaking their heads. I blame the Republicans because they never, ever could have won, ever. And Rich Galen, who's a good friend of mine, wrote a piece last night about Boone Pickens has a theory of negotiation. You got to know what your line is, and you got to know what the other line is. And if there's no way for the lines to intersect, you better not try to do a deal. But both sides, I just don't think the Democrats were able to find some middle ground without having a negotiation with a gun at their head. They could have started a lot earlier ago, and I go back to the super committee that fell apart. The whole process is just not working, and I think everyone gets hurt, the Republicans more than the Democrats, but the Democrats got hurt as well.
Well, you're a successful guy, and I want to know, are you ready to write your check for $123,000, which is your part of the $17 trillion debt? I mean, it seems to me what these guys were ultimately standing for is that, the government as it is operating now is operating at a deficit, a $17 trillion deficit. And that something has to be done, that we have to change our ways. Why is that such an irresponsible position, and why are they being so widely castigated for holding it?
Look, both sides know, just as we knew here, the end game was the surrender of Ted Cruz and his group. Everybody knew this end game. It just was a question of how long it would take. Everybody knows that we can't continue the way we're going. The country is heading, in the next 5 years, that will have a greater debt than the entire gross domestic product of the United States, which is the definition of bankruptcy. But everybody knows the only solution is raising taxes and cutting spending. Let me repeat that. Everybody knows you can't pay this debt down unless we only spend the money that's coming in, and we need more money with more people, and we have to cut spending, especially entitlement programs, which are out of control. That means that there's going to be people like me who are at the upper level of income as a percentage of the country are going to have to pay more taxes, period. And I want to see a lot of spending cut that we can't afford anymore to use credit cards. And the President of the United States is the only person who can accomplish this. He needs a negotiating partner, but he has Simpson Bowles that he could have endorsed a long time ago. He can do it this morning and sit down and start to do the grand bargain, but he's got to have a negotiating partner, and it's clearly not Speaker Boehner, who I think should at least step aside and let somebody who knows how to do a deal. Maybe bring T. Boone Pickens to Washington.
I think Speaker Boehner is firmly ensconced with the gavel in his hand because I don't think anybody else wants the job right now, Lanny Davis. Listen. This is a nice guy. From afar, I've only met him once, but from afar, he's a nice guy. I just think he's over his head and isn't doing the job. Now, here's what I want to add, because I hear you, and you just made an impassioned plea for fiscal responsibility, and frankly, I saw Paul Ryan making the same case over the last 2 weeks. He was saying that we need to get the entitlements under control, and he's even willing to look at some tax reforms that, yes, may raise revenues, but it will also flatten out and get rid of some loopholes. I didn't see anything coming from the other side other than Republicans have bombs strapped to their chest, Republicans are arsonists, Republicans are anarchists, and Republicans have a gun held to the head of the American people. And you also heard people in the media in Hollywood saying that the real reason why the Republicans are against Barack Obama is because they're racist. I mean, what are we seeing from the left and from the Democrats that's actually constructive here, Lanny?
Not much. I'm sorry to say, President Obama won a great victory, if you call this a victory, by staring down the other side. But it's a defeat for America that our government is dysfunctional, and he's the only president we have. So now he can be gracious and step up to the line, and we have a real opportunity in the next couple of months to pull out the Simpson-Bowles report, which, let's remember, cuts corporate taxes, increases the revenues by closing tax loopholes, has rational reform of both Medicare and Social Security that doesn't hurt the lower-income elderly, but does require upper-income elderly.
I know your proposal, Lanny. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I know that. So where is the proposal from our elected officials?
Endorse it. He has come close. He's endorsed elements of it, but I bring in right now, this morning, Alan Simpson and Erskine Bowles on the White House lawn with the President of the United States, and I'd have the President say, now, Erskine and Alan,
but
here's implement your
But you're not going to get that, Lanny. What you're going to get today is a press conference where the President is going to say we need to move on to immigration reform. He's not even going to bat an eye. He considers it a victory. The status quo is maintained. We continue to spend money that we don't have. Nothing has changed.
Well, I heard my friend Paul McGowan last night on CNN talking about we don't really need to raise taxes and cut spending. We can get out of this by increasing jobs. And that's extremely true.
Wow, great idea. Why didn't we think of that?
But it's simply the numbers don't add up unless all of us are willing to acknowledge that we have to raise taxes or revenue increase, whatever you call it, and we have to cut spending. And there's really only one person that can lead that and put pressure on the Republicans to come to the line about raising revenues so he can come to the line on cutting entitlements. And I do mean protecting lower-income elderly, so everybody who talks about Medicare and people who can't afford it haven't read the Bowles-Simpson report.
Right.
They do protect lower-income elderly on Medicare. It's the middle and the upper-income people who are going to have to pay more, or else we can't continue, and I think that's only President Obama is the leader that can do that with Simpson and Bowles by his side.
Thanks, Lanny Davis.
Thank you so much.